Hello everyone, welcome to week 9, lesson 9 of the Pain-Free Breakthrough program. I'm so proud that you made it this far. Hope you're enjoying yourself, and remember to enjoy yourself and follow through with this program from a position of curiosity, okay? And the willingness to learn at this point is much more important than the goal, okay? I know that the goal is to be pain-free, but please try to pursue every lesson, read every lesson, and watch every lesson with curiosity and interest, okay? Knowing that there's always something to learn. Okay, so to get to the topic of this lesson, which is really important, and it's called neuroplasticity and ditching avoidance strategies. And why these two go together, you'll soon find out. So partly it's educational, okay? You're going to learn something about how the brain works and why some people end up in such intense pain, even when doing simple activities, okay? And on the other hand, then you're going to learn how to work with this. So you're going to learn various techniques to undo this process, okay? This process of conditioning. So I know that previously in the program we've addressed conditioning, which is how pain becomes kind of automatic in the body, okay? But we haven't properly touched on something called sensitization. And sensitization happens whenever someone is extremely sensitive to a stimulus, okay? So the stimulus could be anything from walking to lying down to sitting, okay? Everyone has different stimuli. Depending on the personal situations. And some people go as far as being so severely limited, okay? They start by limiting one activity because of pain, because they fear the pain so much that they want to take care and not overdo it. But then eventually they end up limiting more and more, so they end up not being able to do much. Some people end up, having a hard time also showering and doing simple everyday tasks. They need to rely on others' help. And you might ask yourself, but how did I end up in that state? Or how did someone else I know end up in this state? Why? Why would someone be in so much pain that even sometimes, just touching them would cause a reaction, a really painful reaction? Why does it happen? And that happens because of a process known as central sensitization, okay? A process that starts in the brain, happens in the brain, and what happens is a person learns to become hypersensitive to certain stimuli due to various activities, but due to various reasons, mostly negative memories though, okay, and the reinforcement of these negative memories. Okay, so it is much more likely for sensitization to start when you're having a very stressful time, or you had a traumatic event, okay, or an accident. All these things can lead to sensitization, as well as injuries that take long to heal, or traumatic injuries. So there are various factors that can lead to sensitization. But we also have a role in the process ourselves, okay, in the way that we react to the pain. So what happens in most instances is that someone gets a flare-up because of various reasons. Could be stress-related, a change, whatever, all the reasons that we've explored already, due to some repressed emotions or things that are not quite right in life. And the person starts to fear that pain and starts to treat it physically. And because of that, this person would start to limit his or her activities. This person would start to be hyper-vigilant and monitor her or his pain levels, okay, on a daily basis. And because of this increased attention and this continuous fear of generating more pain, what happens is this person is validating the idea, the belief, that something is dangerous, that this activity is dangerous. So to make myself clearer, so if a person has been avoiding going up the stairs because of pain, okay, because it's painful when she got her piriformis pain, okay, her TMS onset, this was really painful, and she kept avoiding this. What she's doing is she's confirming in her brain to herself that going up the stairs is dangerous. So what happens the next time that this person actually goes up the stairs is very likely another flare-up, okay? Much more pain. because that's the expectation now. And this person becomes hypersensitive to this activity, to going up the stairs. It hurts, a lot when it shouldn't, okay? So it's actually very easy. I mean, it's very normal for pain sensitization to occur, especially after trauma, a stressful period, okay? But especially when one is really afraid of the pain, okay? A negative, painful experience, let's say. And yes, so that's what happens, that's the process, and it actually happens because of neuroplasticity, because of the way that our brain learns to adapt to the environment and to react in certain ways in different circumstances, okay? So neuroplasticity can be both a good thing and a bad thing, okay? It's a good thing because thanks to it, we can learn so many skills. We know how to drive without giving it a second thought because of neuroplasticity. Because once we've learned the skill, it comes natural to us, to the brain, in fact. So we no longer even have to think about it, okay? But it also can work against us, for example, in developing bad habits, okay? We constantly need, alcohol, or we're constantly monitoring our pain, okay? And it can also lead to new sensitization, pain sensitization, okay, in the body. Because once we learn to be afraid of something, the brain remembers that there is a threat, and therefore we keep reinforcing the idea that there is a threat, and we become hypersensitive, okay? So how do we counter this? What can we do? Well, the thing is, whenever we build a habit or we learn something, so in this case, the brain has learned to be very sensitive to a pain stimulus, to a stimulus. So this is what we've learned. So whenever we need to unlearn something, we need to build a new habit, okay? You can't simply just unlearn it. We need to behave and react differently. And in the beginning, this has to be done in a conscious level, okay? You have to think about it. It can't be second nature, but eventually, with consistent action and repetition of new habits, it can become second nature, okay? And it will. So, by doing something differently to what you're doing in the case of pain is actually by reacting and behaving differently to pain.